Hey, what's up guys, it's HotRod280 here, and today I am bringing you a Battling Boxers deck profile. So yeah, I wanted to give this deck a try because of course of the lead monster, lead yoke, but I think with this deck list I've done a good job of making it not just a lead yoke deck, just go into him and try and win like that. So I'll go ahead and give you guys a good look and you can decide for yourselves, but let's get it started here. So we'll start off with 3 of Battling Boxer Glassjaw. So this guy is the big beater, 2000 attack. When he's attacked by an opponent, he'll die automatically. So like you need to be careful with the ruling on this guy. Like say for instance they attack with a mathematician, he's gonna die and then the mathematician can attack directly. So that's a big thing that a lot of people don't know about him. But yes, his other effect, when he's sent to the graveyard by a card effect, he can grab another Battling Boxer monster from the graveyard and add it to your hand, and that's why he's so good. That's what you'll be using him a lot for in this deck. Unfortunately, he is a when you can effect, so his card outlets like Raigeki Break and Phoenix Windblast do not work with him in that regard. So, but he's still pretty good, and you still have to run him at 3, mostly because of his secondary effect, which normally you're going to grab one of your Battling Boxer switch hitter. So this guy is basically like the Wolf Bark. You summon him, and you get a Battling Boxer from the graveyard for free. The stipulation is you can only special summon a Battling Boxer Exceed monster when you do that. So in the TCG, the only good one we have is Lead Yoke, so you're pretty much forced to do that play. But still, just this and grabbing Glassjaw from the grave is 3,500 on board right there, so that's not bad. So this great card, run that at 3. Next up, I run just 2 Headgeared. I know a lot of people like 3. This guy sends a Battling Box to the graveyard, so he's kind of like Unikalahai from the Satellar Knights. I don't like 3 because he's just slow, so I just like the one you can summon him and then send a Glassjaw and get back a switch hitter, or if you need a switch hitter in the graveyard, you can send that. So, and also once per turn he can't be destroyed by battle when he's in face-up attack, but he's decent, but he's slow, so I only run 2 of him. Next up, I run 2 Sparrer. This guy you can special summon while you have a face-up Battling Boxer monster, but if you do, you can't conduct your battle phase for the rest of the turn. So with the way that's worded, you can do this in main phase 2. You can conduct your battle phase, just not before, so not in main phase 1 basically. So yeah, this is good like if you really need lead yoke on board, or you just need a way of getting more monsters on the field, so it's pretty good. And then for the Battling Boxer part of the monsters, the last one I run is 1 Counterpunch. I only run 1. This guy's basically on it specifically for the archetype 1000 attack, and they don't necessarily have to have a monster on field, so if you just need to push for damage, he's really nice. But yeah, I only find 1 necessary because if you have lead yoke on board, generally they're not attacking, so their card is kind of dead a lot of the time, so I only like 1 of it. For the non-Battling Boxer monsters, I run 2 Goblinberg. This card is a warrior, which is one of the biggest things, and he can be searched out by Rhoda, so basically when he's summoned, he special summons another level 4 from the hand. So one of the best plays of this deck is summoning this with it, and then special summoning switch hitter from your hand, overlaying it into Lavalval Chain, and then detaching the switch hitter to send Glassjaw, and then getting the switch hitter back to your hand. It's just a good way of getting advantage in this deck, which this deck has problems with sometimes, so I really like this. It's another 1 card exceed for the deck, so I run 2 of those. And then I run 2 Photon Thrasher. He's not fire, so it doesn't fit perfectly, but I like the ability to summon him first turn, and then there's normal summon something else to go into exceed. He's a big beater, so and he's a warrior, so I feel like he does have synergy with the deck, and he's been testing well, so I like 2 Thrasher. Next up, I have 1 Blaster. Basically, this is honestly kind of like for Vanity's Emptiness. You'd use its effect to discard him and another fire from your hand to pop 1 card on the field. So this is a way around Vanities. That's kind of like the biggest reason why I'm playing it. But you generally don't want to be banishing fires from your graveyard, so I don't really activate that effect too often. But if you need to, it is a good 28 beater if you can get it on board. So next up, 1 Masked Chameleon. Of tech cards, some people have actually been running this in like 2s and 3s in this deck because it is like a 1 card exceed with Glassjaw. I don't like that many, but I do like the option of being able to make level 8 synchros as well as just another 1 card exceed. So I run a 1 of. You can only go in. You can only grab things with 0 defense, and you can only special summon monsters from the extra deck. So you kind of can't like switch hitter or spar when you do this. So you have to be careful with its restrictions, but it's good. And that's it for the monsters. Stuff for the spells, you have the 2 Rhoda, self-explanatory, consistency. And next up, I'm running, a lot of people do this anyway, but I'm running 3 Lance, which is a lot. I know most people would only run 2, but I feel like it's really important to get lead yoke on board, and or not how like lead yoke run into a dimensional prison. You need to be able to protect the yoke once it's on board, basically, and I feel like this does the best job of doing that. So I run 3 Lance. Might be a bit heavy, but you need to protect your plays in this deck. So that 1 Dark Hole, because basically with lead yoke on board, you can play this and just detach and not use any advantage. So you actually kind of benefit if you detach your Glass Jaw. So I feel like this isn't really good in the meta anymore, but in this deck it works. Next up, 1 Foolish Burial. Basically, it's sending Glass Jaw to get switch hitter for free. So I mean, this is basically grabbing a monster from the graveyard, so this works really well in this deck. And then last up, 1 Book of Moon, just all around one of the best spells in the game. And so now let's get on to the traps. I guess I'll go ahead and start with the 2 that I will be cutting after some testing. 2 Battle Guard Howling. So in theory, I thought this card would be great. It just seems like, you summon your lead yoke and then you think they have to get around it with either monster effects or by attacking or whatever. So you could flip this, and like if they go into like Castell or they summon BLS, you flip this when they're trying to activate the effect to banish with like BLS, and then you bounce it back to the hand and do 3,000 damage. It sounds good in practice, but this card was just dead a lot of the time. If it was worded that it was like if the monster is targeted like at all, it would have been a much better card. But as it stands, this card is just dead a lot. If just Leo gets booked, then this is just dead, and there's just a bunch of other ways that they can just play around this card. It's awesome if you can get it off on like a Chaos Sorcerer or a BLS or a Castell or something like that. It's great, but it's just too situational, so I would not play these anymore. So in place of them, I would just play 2 Kaiser Coliseum instead, because it's just more consistent. I don't entirely like sitting with lead yoke and a Kaiser, because it's not like Bujin, where like if you sit on Yamato you're gaining advantage, or you sit on Susanoo, or in Eva Storm you sit on Ophion and then you gain advantage, or you stop your opponent from doing something. If you sit on lead yoke, you're not really stopping your opponent from doing anything, and you're not really gaining advantage. So I don't really like Kaiser in this deck, but I understand a lot of people do run it, and I can understand why. And I'd run it now over what I was playing. So that's what I say about that. Next up, 2 Vanity's Emptiness. Card of the format. You get lead yoke on board, and then you flip this and basically ask the opponent what they've got. So I definitely like 2 Vanities. To that, I play 3 Fiendish, just for effect negation, which I feel like is just needed this format. If you really wanted, you could play Breakthrough Skills. This is just player preference, Fiendish Chain or Breakthrough, but I like 3 either way. And then you have space for the traps, so it's just your choice. Next up, I play 2 Safe Zone. So this card has a lot of utility. Well, normally if this is like MST, the monster would die, but in this case, you attach it to lead yoke, and if they do MST this, then you just attach for lead yoke, and the monster does not die. And the biggest thing is it stops lead yoke from being targeted, which to get around lead yoke, usually the opponent has the target, and it's just usually what they have to do, and this prevents from being target. So I feel like this is really good. It's just, if you can do first turn lead yoke and put this on it, it's a pretty good lock, because even if they MST, you don't really lose anything. Your lead yoke will stay. So I feel like the Safe Zone and Glass Jaw have a very good, lead yoke have a very good relationship, and I like 2 Safe Zone. And it's great for like Lila, which is coming back in the meta, because you can like, if she tries to pop this, you can equip it to her. Alright guys, sorry for the awkward jump cut here, my camera battery died. So anyway, just continue with what I was saying. You can equip the Safe Zone to Lila, and she'll basically blow herself up when she pops this. So, and that's same thing for like Dark Armed or anything, so it's pretty awesome if you can use it like that. And then we have Compulse, of course, your warning. and your bottomless for, you know, your staple one-ofs. I run one time space trap hole because I feel like it's just really good this format. Like, it's just to be able to return a Dante back to the extra deck is really good. So, and you know, bottomless doesn't hit it, so I really like this card. I would actually probably bump it up to 2 if I could. One tech that I'm still unsure of, one Exceed Reborn. This is kind of like if you just desperately need lead yoke back on board, or maybe even make a revolve all chain to dump another glass straw that you really need, or just something like that. Honestly, it's dead a lot of the time though, so I would probably cut this. So, and then the torrential. For the extra deck, I have 1, 2, 3 lead yoke. I do believe you need 3 lead yoke because of switch hitter and his restriction of only being able to go into lead yoke. You're going to want the 3rd, you know, at least some of the time. So you're gonna need to run the 3. But of course, you know, he's nowhere near as good as he used to be. But he can't be destroyed by battle bait. If he tried to destroy my battle, he can detach and go up by 800. I'm sure you guys know what he does by now, but he's nowhere near as indestructible as he was. So you have to really protect him a lot more than you did in the past. But it's still a good card against some decks. One Excite on Night, of course, staple. 1/1/1. One Historic Champion Excalibur, just because it is a warrior deck, so getting a 4,000 B stick just for push for mega damage is nice. One Cowboy per game. The one can sell. Black Ship. And then, of course, this is probably one of the most important cards of the deck, and one of the reasons why I really don't think this should be a budget deck, because you need this card in my opinion. I even have the sleeves, which I haven't shown you guys, cover card. So, but yeah, you need this card. I think first turn you like Goblinberg or your Thrasher, and then normal summon another monster, and then you go into this guy and then detach, and then put Glassjaw on the grave. The back deck switch hitter is one of the strongest opening plays that the deck has, in my opinion. I feel like he's just too useful in setting up your grave. You need to set up your grave in this deck. And Evolve Off Chain speeds that up exponentially. You can't really rely on Headgear to do that for you, in my opinion. So you need to play this guy. He opens up a lot of plays in the deck. So a lot of people say it's a budget deck, but I don't think so if you want to play it to its best extent and not just play lead yoke all day. And the one card that Satellar Knights have given a lot of attention to, one Gandiva, is really good, especially against Satellar Knight. So I run one of that. One Deller, shut down the grave, you can make it, so why not. And then for the Synchros, one Stardust, because Stardust plus Vanity's Emptiness is a pretty nice soft block, so run him. A Scrap Dragon, because if you get this and lead yoke on board, you can try and pop your lead yoke and detach and you lose no advantage, so why not. And then a Blader, just against the level 7 decks that still do exist. I mean, Hot Red Jeweled Dragon Archfiend, or whatever that card is called now. Yeah, that's an option, but I feel like it's really bad this format, but you can most certainly run it if you wanted to. And I guess I can go ahead and run through the side deck really quick. Side 2 of the MST. I don't main deck them because I don't find it a need to main deck them, so although I might be adding in 2 Wiretap into the main deck if anything before I probably put these in. So one Stygian Dirge because it's the only one that I have at the moment, but I would run 2 if I had to. One, and then I believe I have another Puppet Plant. Nope, I just run the one, but yeah, Puppet Plant for the Warrior, for Shaddolls and Satellar Knights and any other Warrior decks. Doing another Warrior is really nice because you can go into your Warrior type Exceeds with your Warrior that you summon, so really like Puppet Plant. 3 Shadow Mirror for Shaddol and Burning Abyss, and you're not hurt by it, so you would definitely run it, as well as 2 Light Mirror just for the Brujin and Satellar Knights. You can run these cards, you don't get hurt by them, so you have to side them in my opinion. 2 Max C and 1 Flying C for Mermail, Burning Abyss for the Flying C. Yeah, basically those matchups. A Mind Control, because you can see it a lot. And then changes appearances for Burning Abyss mostly. I side really heavily against Burning Abyss because this deck cannot keep up advantage-wise with it, so you need to really do that hard. But yeah, that's the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I think it's a pretty good deck, but we need the OCG exclusive stuff over here. It can't keep up with like the new tier 1 decks, but like pre-Duelist Alliance, I think it has a pretty good matchup. And just as long as you don't play lead yoke all the time, you just have to, know when to make the right play, or like when you summon switch hitter, do you need to exceed that turn, and if you can wait and then exceed into something not Battling Boxer related, things like that. But other than that, I feel like it's a good deck, but it's tier 3 for a reason. Lead yoke is just not very good anymore. So other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed, and catch you guys on the next profile. Peace.